All right, welcome everyone to another edition of 13 Cards Subject to Change, episode number 50.
50.
Yes, and of course, Zach is with me. It's just us this week. Jesse's off. He had to do work or something in the Twin City or something like that.
Yeah.
He said he might call us. We haven't heard anything from him, so he might not. But
I think
that's all right.
Yeah, I think they have like a show. His band winning his and everything. I think,
okay.
Yeah. I think they're doing a show. Wow, we made it 50 episodes. We are halfway to 100.
I know. We're almost. I said I went live a little while before. Just said, "Hey, everybody, this is our 50th show. We're doing this." I'm within.
I have not been able to lose that much weight because of the show, because all we ever do is just sit here and eat baked goods. But
that is true. I mean, it'll be here at the end of the month. It'll be a year we've been doing this.
We'll be recapping the first 49, looking back at some of our favorite stuff that we did. God damn. You and I always tell people, was it the worst year to start a wrestling podcast? Maybe. Or was it one of the most interesting years to start a wrestling podcast? I mean, we'll delve into that a little bit later, but we've been talking about doing this for a while. We're going to review the first 2 episodes of WWE Icons, which is now on Peacock. But very first, let's get to the biggest, most controversial wrestling news that's happened since Monday, really.
Yeah.
The WWE announced the cuts of multiple superstars, and you know what?
It's not as big as the one last year.
It's not. Well, here's the deal. Today is actually a year ago. They cut all those people because of... Now, okay, it's interesting. You and I both looked at those cuts, and there were some significant people in those cuts. Not a lot. Obviously, the Good Brothers stuck out. I mean, that was an obvious
that was the
big
biggest
thing.
stick out.
But I think you and I both said, back when WWE announced that they made all that money during COVID, Leroy... You're obviously a bit older than me. You've never lived through something like COVID. Nothing ever got that bad. You've lived through a bunch of epidemics, SARS, swine flu, all that stuff's happened since you've been alive, but nothing ever shut the world down like COVID-19.
Yeah,
and we'll say it here on the show. One thing I was going to say for our look back was all the stuff we made up the first few episodes. More because at the time YouTube was a little bit not wanting us to say it.
Very sensitive about that.
And then B, it was just kind of a lot of fun to actually come up with the stupid shit that we did. But
yeah, I went through not having to wear seatbelts in a car, riding in the back of a truck, riding my bike without a helmet.
Yeah. You've also, and
I'm still here,
right, and obviously not to delve too deep into what you do here at home, but you've gone through also a world where what your parents did to raise you is damn near child abuse these days.
Oh, pretty close.
You letting your kids walk literally, what is it, like 3 blocks down to that park? You can't do that the way you used to anymore.
No, I mean, back in the day, it's like, just like turn the light on, send the kids out in the yard
9.
And they run around. Yeah, Eben's
9. So I mean, like, I'll be honest, when I was 8, dude, we were 3-4 blocks away from my parents' house. It was literally as soon as the street light came on, it's like, all right, someone's got to get home because it's about to get dark. Now. But the thing is that in broad daylight now, you can't even have your 9-year-old run 4 blocks down the road to a swing set.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like you've experienced all of these things. And back to my wrestling point, nobody knew what was going to happen during COVID. When these guys were cut, the lockdown really kind of started.
It was like right after that,
Yeah, so they didn't know if they were going to be able to do live shows. They didn't know if they were going to be able to do shows at all. Because I mean, think about this. We talk about what the NBA and the NHL did for their playoffs, having a bubble. Can you imagine what the camera crew had to go through just to be able to come in and run a show?
Yeah,
I'm sure they weren't allowed to leave the hotel. I mean, it's like, look, the cuts, the furloughs, whatever you want to call them. I never blamed the WWE because nobody knew what was going to happen. You didn't know you were going to become... Well, here's the deal. When all of our live sports went away, I just saw this meme on my Facebook the other day. All the live sports paused because they didn't know what to do. The wrestling was the only thing on. So all of a sudden, television networks were like, okay, they've proven to be consistent. They've proven they can do this no matter what really happens. Because, think about this. Raw never went off the air. Raw just continued.
Yeah. Everything did. I mean, but you look
Raw,
at it too.
I mean, Raw has never been stopped. I mean, even during a snowstorm, they flew 2 guys out to, Greenwich, Connecticut, and did it from Titan Towers, and and they had John Moxley at the time, Dean Ambrose hitching a ride there. But no, it's just we didn't know that Peacock was in the makings of a $1 billion deal. We didn't know Fox was going to throw another, what was it, 50 to 60 million at WWE to produce these shows. Look, cuts and releases, budgets, things happen. This is okay, just to get out of the way. Everyone's been saying budget cuts is why all these people got cut. Let me break this down for you people. There's a reason why certain places are not raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. First of all, what you make per hour is not the problem. What things cost to live are the problem. Okay? You and I both worked at Quick Trip. We didn't raise our prices on really anything that we were producing during COVID. I think the meat might have gone up a little bit per pound, or like the butter. Well, okay, eggs went up. That was about it. But I mean, they went up like 50 cents?
Yeah, there were some things. It was what I've noticed. Some of the hot food and some like 10, 15 cents.
Yeah.
But not any more than that across the board for everything.
But like some of the grocery stores were charging $8 for a carton of eggs.
Oh yeah. I would never go to the grocery store here and buy eggs. So you only get a dozen egg. I'm paying 3 times as much for the same thing.
And right.
And I can get it at work.
Right.
And we never change.
Well, but see again, people don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knew what was going to happen. And by the way, going back to my $15 an hour, they don't raise it because labor is one of the hardest things to control. You and I can't get overtime. I don't think that's what people realize. Even if our store is going to be short you and I for 2 days a week, you and I can't go work past 40 hours.
Yeah, unless we get permission.
Which is
from the higher ups.
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead, give it overtime.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. You and I also both know we're not getting this bonus check if they just let everybody go into overtime. Controlling labor is one of the hardest things to do in all of business. And the thing is that WWE's sitting here like, look, maybe when they finally get the budget reports and realize we have all these people in catering, they don't realize all the people that are in catering when they're in the middle of, running the shows. But when the budget reports come in, things are a little more clear.
Well, you just look at it's like, like I say, we have a certain number of hours for budget, and, well, Vince and all that have that. It's like, okay, so we need, look at it and say, all right, we need 150 budgeted for labor for working the shows.
Yeah.
We got 300 labor in total. Well, let's see here. We got to bring that down so it's the same.
Look,
and
folks.
Good.
Look, folks. If you're gonna sit here and tell me Tony Khan's a better, businessman because he's not cutting people, no, he's a worse businessman because he's not cutting people because he's got about 80+ wrestlers. That guess what? You see about 18 of them every week. Even if you watch Darker Elevation, you're still not seeing the 80-some people.
Yeah, it's like I printed out 3 pages.
Yeah, exactly.
Of their roster.
Yeah. By the way, great job on getting our pay-per-view up. That's now officially on our Facebook page.
Yep, we got that up there. Yep. So yeah.
But no, it's just folks. Okay, so
should we run down?
We're gonna run down these names here.
Yeah.
All right. So first and foremost, Billie Kay. Look, I know there's reports Kevin Dunn thought there was a ceiling, thought she wasn't gonna do much. Outside of you and I kind of enjoying her funny resume, what was she really doing? Next to nothing.
Nothing.
And we're gonna.
She was nice to look at.
Yeah, exactly.
But
we're gonna circle back to Billie here in a little bit. Mickey, God bless her. She's a great worker in the ring, but Mickey was there on her second stint. She wasn't doing much anyway. I think she'd been injured for a little while. Mickey had her run in the WWE, and it was a good run. Probably a Hall of Fame worthy run, but. I mean, well, and Mickey can probably go to NWA now because her husband's the world champion over there.
Yeah, she go there or
Chelsea,
back to TNA.
Yeah. Chelsea Green, look, Chelsea Green's issue was injuries. She kept getting hurt when her number got called. It just I mean.
Well, yeah, they're spending more money on her injuries than her paycheck.
Tucker. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of questions as to what happened with Heavy Machinery, but this is also where I want to get to my next point about these cuts. This business, whether or not you and I have been in it or anyone else, is about making yourself flexible and relevant. I watched Untold about the APA. Yeah. And I remember, and it's weird because Ron Simmons, who you've obviously shook hands with and and met. Wonderful.
Got pictures with. He's a wonderful, great guy.
Exactly, wonderful person. He's, he was talking about the APA when he first got brought in WWE, and everyone knows the story about the big leather blue helmet he got put on him when they changed his name to Farouk. And obviously my favorite line from that is Stone Cold going, "That's the only son of a bitch that can walk through a room with a blue helmet, and no one's gonna tell him it looks stupid." But but no, Leroy, he said during Untold, he felt as a man, make it work.
Yeah.
Just shut up and make it work. He didn't care how stupid it looked. He didn't care what the point of it was. He was just gonna make it work. And that's my issue with a lot of things. Otis, in whether it's physical, because he and Tucker were both very comparable with the physical stature.
Oh, yeah.
But Otis had another level to him. And by the way, enough of Otis was put in another tag team. This was supposed to be, I think, a managerial thing that just turned into a tag team that occasionally wrestles.
Yeah, I think that's about how it is.
I never see the Alpha Academy as a tag team. I just don't. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
No, I don't see it. I mean, they can put him in as a tag team just for that.
Yeah.
But it's like Alpha Academy. Okay, that's an academy. Academy is they have a teacher and they have a student.
Yeah.
Which, Gable is the teacher and Otis is the student.
Well, it's like, so I hate to say it, I feel like Tucker, and again, I don't know what was happening backstage. I don't know if Tucker was pulling a Vince Russo and just throwing shit at the wall and hoping somebody was going to stick with it. Look, Otis obviously found a way to be more valuable to the company.
Yeah.
And also the thing is, people have to understand, some of these contracts may have been up, and at that point, maybe they want to go somewhere else. Kalisto never really reached, I think, the peak they thought they were going to get with him when they signed him. I mean, he had some good runs with Mystico when he was still up there. Had some runs as the Lucha Dragons, Lucha House Party did pretty well for a while there.
Yeah, they did for a while.
It's like, as big a fan as I was of Kalisto, was he really doing anything worthy of holding on to someone who's not doing much? No, and that's just me. Wesley Blake, he'd been riding a weird wave of nothing for a really long time.
Oh God, yes, yeah, totally.
You can talk about him over Jackson Riker after all the stupid stuff Jackson Riker did. Like I said, it's not like Wesley Blake was blowing the roof off the place every night when he was coming out there. I mean, the last gimmick, he shaved himself bald and, was working with Corbin. That didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to skip one because we're going to come back to it.
Yep.
Bo Dallas, what was Bo doing?
Catering.
He was living on a farm with Liv Morgan. It wasn't much going on. Mojo Rawley, again, once Gronk went back to football, which, hey, he's doing fine. He went back and won a Super Bowl in 1 year. He's doing fine.
Oh, yeah, he's going for another year.
Look, Mojo, I think, went through a few gimmick changes. Nothing really made sense, and he was done. I mean,
he never – I never really got anything. I mean, I seen him. I'm like, Mojo. I'm like –
He had talent. But
nothing really jumped out at you.
Now, where we circle back to Billy Kay, Peyton Royce, who recently gave a pretty, impassioned promo, but didn't work out for her. Why'd they break up the Iconics? Just to blah, 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 blah. Look, they broke up the Iconics. Things didn't work out. They were unable to do things on their own. It was what it was. I mean, and the thing is, nothing against the Iconics. You and I both thought they were great together. They weren't a turn-the-needle tag team situation.
No, they are not.
I mean, the Iconics were fun. They were somewhat entertaining, but they weren't Natty and Tamina, which have done a great job since they've teamed up, and they've been fantastic as a tag team. It was a pairing that had great chemistry because they were friends, but what did it really draw? What was the real big thing there?
I thought they were going to use Peyton Royce as a single for a while because it looked like she was doing well.
Well, but now you go back to what wasn't she showing when she got in the ring?
Yeah.
Once again, folks, Ron Simmons, who didn't need a gimmick change, he didn't need the WWE. Ron Simmons was the first ever black heavyweight champion in the history of the business, and somebody that was more respected in the locker room than I think anyone will ever be.
Yeah.
When you factor in he was an African American man, but I mean that locker room was legitimately happy for him when he won that belt off of Vader. But it's just. Okay, the one thing that literally I haven't seen anyone ask the entire time, they've just been blaming the big, bad, evil empire.
Well, Vince, mostly.
Yeah, exactly. ladies and gentlemen, were they making it work? Were they really showing off what they were given? Because I mean, look, this business is just like Hollywood. You gotta make yourself relevant. When Robert De Niro got too old for really being taken overly seriously, as he wasn't, in the Godfather movies.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's a great comedic actor.
Oh, he is.
He's done, Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers, Little Fockers, The Intern with Anne Hathaway. So he was fantastic in that movie.
Didn't he do that Fighting the Grandpa one?
He
too?
did, yeah.
Is that one?
He did that. So it's just, folks, if you're one-dimensional, you're one-dimensional. I'm not here to say I was in there every day and I saw them not trying. Again, we're only going off of, did they try?
Yeah.
We're only going off of, folks, this business is famous for guys who were on their last leg and then tried something and it worked. I mean, look, 2020 was a weird year, but look, budget is budget. I'm not going to argue with it. If it's an excuse to get rid of these people, again, what were they doing? What was anyone on this list doing?
Yeah.
Until we move on to now, the biggest release, which created the biggest buzz.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
Who had just commentated WrestleMania, and then he's out the door. Now, here's the deal. Is it hard to mess up Samoa Joe? Yes, I agree. It's incredibly hard to screw that up because it's already kind of written in what he can be.
Yeah.
At the same time, why was he on commentary? Because he was hurt a lot. And this last one was a concussion. And here's the deal. Concussions have become such an issue in sports. You can argue to someone, or you could force them to sign a contract that says, if I get another concussion and suffer some form of brain damage, I won't sue the company. They're still going to find a way to sue you.
Oh, yeah.
It's a business model. They wouldn't let Daniel Bryan back in the ring because they were trying to save him from himself. It wasn't a neck issue like Christian, who, after a few years of not being physical, was able to sort of work it out. This is a concussion.
Yeah, I mean,
concussions
even,
have shortened some of the greatest careers in sports. Joe Mauer, would have been 3,000 hits. May have found a way to get to Pete Rose level of hitting if it weren't for a concussion that had him on the shelf for 2-3 years. And even then, he was still suffering concussion symptoms. You can't mess with the brain, people.
Well,
and if WWE didn't want to clear him and he wants to return, fine. Go to an independent show that doesn't give a damn if they clear you fully because you're going to be on their show. But look. But again, every time Joe got to the top, something happened. He got hurt in some way. So I don't want to call Samoa Joe that anyone dropped the ball. He just got hurt.
Yeah, injuries. I mean, it happened. I mean,
that's all it was.
We had a coworker, Delson. He got smacked in the head, got a concussion.
Yeah,
and it's just simple doing stuff, and he was still feeling it.
Yeah,
a couple of days afterwards, and I'm like, hey, are you gonna be all right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, well, take it easy, and if you need anything, let me know.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's just simple. He's not an athlete.
Well,
but it happens. But you still got to watch out for that.
Well, but that's just it. He's working in retail. These guys are doing shit that hurts for a living.
Yeah.
Okay. So
But even that, I mean, you still have to. I mean, no matter where it happens, you still have to be. Are you going to be okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't do anything.
Look, folks.
Drastic.
Look, folks. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this was the right thing to do or if this was the morally correct thing to do. Folks, Vince is trying to make money here.
Yeah.
Vince is trying to, keep this machine rolling. If Vince had stayed loyal to all these guys who never drew a dime, he would have been
broke.
He would have been out of business years ago.
Yeah.
Look, Tony, you're surviving because your daddy's got a lot of money right now. But you're not even 2 years into this gimmick. Which that's all AEW's become, is a parody of wrestling, in my opinion. But the thing is that you are not 30, 40, 50 years into this. You have not had to get a global presence. You are a niche product right now. Yes, folks, they blew past 1 million which you and I predicted, was
Well,
going to
yeah,
happen.
you knew they were going to hit that.
While they're by themselves. But the
Yeah.
thing about it is that, folks, I watched you lose viewers before.
It'll happen again. But we don't know what's going to do it.
Dave Meltzer's even finally calling them out, and people are acting like everything's hunky-dory because they hit a 1.2 million. Raw's still at like 1.4.
Yeah.
And they're supposedly the worst show.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
no. I just okay. Quick question: Minnesota Vikings cut some kid that you and I both fell in love with in training camp.
Yeah.
You think they care?
No.
No, because they got to put a 53-man roster on the field. You can't keep all 90 guys.
Yeah, it's a business. You got to get your budget. You can't be over a certain
You
amount.
also have to make
it.
yourself relevant, and you have to continue to be ready when your number is called. Everyone forgets that Devin Hester, when he was no longer, the Devin Hester of old, why was he still in the NFL even though no one knew about it? He was in Atlanta because he could still return kicks like the best kick returner in the history of the game.
Yeah.
He was still dangerous at one thing that was needed. So what I'm just trying to understand here is you people don't – okay, are all you people who all of a sudden have become fans of these, a dozen wrestlers?
Half dozen, yeah.
Yeah.
About that, yeah.
Where'd the fans come from? Oh, wait, it's the same fans who always hate on Vince for making business calls, for making business-related decisions. Do y'all care when, your favorite baseball team cuts a guy who was there for 11 years? No, because they're going with the guy next up who might give them another 11 years.
Yeah.
Staying loyal in basketball got teams dumpstered. And LeBron James has moved on to teams who were like, oh, okay, we were loyal to these kids for, for the first 4 years of their career. They're all in different places thriving, but they finally grew up. But who would you rather be loyal to? A bunch of kids who are winning 30 games a year out of 82, or LeBron James, who in year one got you the closest to the playoffs that you'd ever been since those kids, and he was hurt. Oh, by the way, year two, he won a championship.
Mm-hmm.
You overhaul the roster. And you know what? Okay, you and I. All right, so I work with a guy who's now actually going back to his old store. Long story there. Dan. He says his favorite sports team are the Yankees. The Yankees have 27 world titles.
Yeah.
They've cut ties with Joe Torre, who won like 4 or 5 of those. They were gonna cut ties with Jeter. They cut ties with A-Rod. Jorge Posada. They cut ties with all of these guys who won 4 or 5 championships because they hadn't won 4 or 5 championships in 10 years.
Yeah, they had to reinvent themselves. They had to.
Folks, winning is what pro sports are about, okay? If you stay loyal to someone, I would say the Twins stayed a little too loyal to Joe Mauer.
Yeah.
They signed Joe Mauer to a giant $300 million deal, and all of a sudden we couldn't afford pitching.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Loyalty very rarely gets you what you want. But if you want to win championships, you're going to have to sell your future occasionally. The Lakers are screwed for probably 4 or 5 years after LeBron James leaves. But if he gets them 2 to 3 titles while he's there, you think they give a damn?
No, it's just more money in their pockets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just, folks, Billy Kay, Mickey James, Chelsea Green, Tucker, Kalisto, Wesley Blake, Samoa Joe probably withstanding, but, injuries, Bo Dallas, Peyton Royce, Mojo Lally. Where was the money? Where was the power of drawing? Where was the hype? I say those names. Do you see Austin Rock? Do you see Triple H Rock? You see Triple H Michaels? No. Your money is in Lashley, McIntyre. It's in Ripley, Bianca Belair. It's in Charlotte, whether people like that or not.
A lot of people don't.
It's still,
and they do.
Becky Lynch is still a bigger draw than these people, and she's been at home for over a
Yeah,
year.
I mean, I remember when Mickey James started. I'm still a fan of Mickey James.
I love Mickey.
I think she's great.
But
shit happens.
But it's like, folks, this business is also famous for next person up. Everybody wants your spot. Not everyone's happy for you. Remember, Aaron Donald, got an assault charge for beating up a guy in a bar. Why'd you mess with Aaron Donald of all people?
I know.
You got to be an idiot.
Like,
but no, the camera finally showed that he was hit with a bottle. Folks, Shannon Sharp said it on Undisputed after Aaron Donald got charged. Not everyone's happy for your success. Your best friend in the locker room is going to want your spot at some point.
Yeah.
So, folks, AEW's got like 86 plus people. How many of them are actually making the company money?
Mm-hmm.
Probably about 2 dozen. Maybe 3 if we really scrape the bottom of the Dark Order barrel.
Yeah, and a lot of people have posted, oh, they're going to go to AEW. Are they really?
Not only
Does
that,
AEW really need them?
Well, okay.
No, they don't.
Okay, here's the deal. They could use all 4 of these women because they're better than what they've got.
Well, yes.
Sorry,
that's
Abby,
true.
but we're going to keep calling you out until you come on and defend your girl Penelope
yes,
here.
We still want you on here. Come on.
But I mean, what? Tucker's going to come in as a scorned WWE guy? Boy, then there's not 12 of those on the roster right now, and that's just on television. That's not even in the back. Kalisto, how many more luchadors do you need? Seriously.
You don't. Yeah, they don't need any more.
They already have the Lucha Brothers in Death Triangle. What? They're gonna bring Kalisto and make it the Death Square?
Something, yeah. A rectangle. I don't know.
The Death Pentagram. I don't know.
Yeah.
You already got Pentagon in there.
Yes.
Joe probably, but at the same time, Joe's what 40 something at this point. He's kind of getting up there in years, and he's injury prone, and again, that style of wrestling tends to. What AEW has been portraying, their style, it's gotten some people hurt recently. Wow. Who the hell could have predicted that? He's doing cheerleading moves all night. Bo Dallas, I mean, the biggest gimmick he had was Bo Leave.
Yeah, that was...
It's not like these are stars.
That was okay, but...
Joe was the only star, but he was hurt.
Yeah, he's 42.
42, okay.
42. I mean, he showed what he could do as a commentator.
Yeah.
I mean, he wants to do that.
But what? So in the course of 3 months, they're gonna do the same damn thing over again in AEW. I mean, I know they do the same Dynamite every week, but they're gonna do the same damn thing where they pay $1 million for Paul White, the Big Show, just to be a commentator and wrestle the occasional match. Well, they're gonna bring in Joe to replace Tony Schiavone, which I'm not against, but they're gonna pay him $1 million to just commentate. Really?
Yeah.
This doesn't make you better, AEW. If you literally call all these people after their 90 days are up and they all debut, I hate to say it, the Iconics will be on the back burner 2 weeks later. Because you keep wanting to push the Japanese women crowd, which I'm not against Japanese women wrestling. I love Asuka and Io, but Kenny obviously knows what he wants to do with the women's division, and it's not what the Iconics do.
Yep.
It's not.
Yeah.
Chelsea Green, they hyped you up, but what did you really do while you were there? You broke up with the Robert Stone brand. That was about it.
Yeah, that's
it. Mojo Rawley, he barely got over in WWE. How the hell is he going to get over in AEW?
Did get about as over as Miro.
Boy, that's a shot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, look, I really don't know how to get animated about this because it's like, were they on TV? Were they in something that you cared about? Billy got a bit of a WrestleMania moment out of it, but that was about it.
Yeah, Billy Kay, Mickey James did some commentary. We saw Joe on TV. I mean, that's it. Everybody else was... The rumor that Bo Dallas was playing the Fiend.
Yeah.
But...
I'd heard that.
That's it. I mean... Yeah, I wish all these guys and gals the best of luck.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
But,
you never know. Any one of them could come back.
Yeah. Well,
that's always on the table.
Vince has worked with a hell of a lot more annoying talent in the past than any of these people.
Well, yeah.
Were,
I mean, as I said, you look at it. You look at Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre, 2 people that were cut, and they came back, and look at them now.
Folks.
Champs.
Folks, maybe now's the time to light that fire up your own ass. Maybe it's time for you to fall back in love. I mean, Heath Slater said when he got cut on Black Wednesday of last year,
Yeah.
he said, I'll admit it, I'd fallen out of love with it. I stopped caring as much as I had. Heath Slater admitted that.
Yeah.
He was willing to stand up and say maybe I wasn't trying as hard as I, could have been to make them look at my name and say, nah, we can still use them despite everything that's going on. So, I mean, look, I've got a consistent income. I'm doing, just fine in life here. I'm not on their level of making money, and I obviously don't know what they were trying to do. But, I mean, to some of them, maybe it's time to reinvent yourself. Maybe it's time to find something that makes you irresistible to people. And I hate to say it, we'll talk about this when we talk about Beth Phoenix icons a little bit later in the show. Girls, you really got to stand out these days.
You do.
Because all the girls are talented, and they all look fabulous.
Yes.
But what separates you? Becky, it's this underdog quality that nobody's had since Steve Austin. Charlotte, she's just genetically better in the ring than anybody else.
Yes.
Bayley, she connected with the underdog gimmick, but also has found a way to make herself incredibly versatile. And then Sasha Banks just technically can outwork just about anybody in the damn company, male or female.
Oh, yeah.
So the 4 horsewomen, you might want to get mad and say they're dominating. Alexa Bliss Alexa Bliss recently said she's having some of the most fun of her career with this Fiend thing. Thank you, Alexa. Alexa, turn off. Whatever.
I just unplugged. So I forgot about.
Yeah. No, it's about damn time you remember to do your job.
About that. Oh yeah.
These are things they have to put up with. Anyway, no. It's like Alexa Bliss said she's having the most fun she's ever had doing the Fiend thing. So, folks, what makes you relevant? What makes you possible that when they see your name on a list, it's like nope, they're still going to work for us. Like. You can say you're tired of the 4 horsewomen, but has anyone chosen to step up to that level? Has anyone chosen to really go out there and grab the proverbial brass ring the way they did? They've all got a quality to them that the other one doesn't have. That's why they're all able to work together, but they also have a quality that, I'm sorry, the rest of the people on this list didn't. And not that Mickey never had it or doesn't have it, but Mickey had a run.
Yeah.
At this point, the only thing working against Mickey, although Mickey looks fantastic still, was that Mickey had her run at the top, and the fans just don't see the staying power. They don't. Sorry, they don't.
Yeah, well, she was mad about, them telling women around her age they should retire. It's like, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, she doesn't have a spark with the fans anymore.
No.
And that's old guys, we do. But.
And that's the other thing that we haven't even touched on yet. Are they going to cut you if the fans are buying your merchandise? Are they going to cut you if the fans are still reacting to you? No. Like I said, most people on this list weren't getting nothing out of the fans.
No.
You think Mojo Rawley was pushing the amount of T-shirts that Hulk Hogan was pushing in his heyday? No. And Hulk Hogan is still pushing more T-shirts than Mojo Rawley will ever push. No matter what Hulk Hogan ever did, he's still Hulkamania.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, John Cena, The Rock, Stone Cold, Kane, who's still selling merch? All the people I just mentioned. Who wasn't? People on this list. Like, I mean, you think people were clamoring for whenever Tucker was going to drop his next T-shirt? No.
Did he have one?
I don't know.
The heavy machinery one?
Probably that was it, yeah. But I mean, my whole thing comes down to if the fans want you around, and I'm not talking about the fans who got pissed at Vince after the names came out. I'm talking about you would have been consistently selling merch long before they decided to make cuts. You would have. You were going to. End of conversation. So, look, you and I are going to be objective here. We're going to be honest. We wish them all their all luck in their future endeavors, but we're not going to sit here and act like we were pounding the table saying put these people back in the ring. Maybe Joe, but
I'd love to see him back in the ring.
Yeah.
But when he's healthy and he can compete without being injured. I mean, I don't want to see him hurt. I don't want to see a concussion. I mean, he hits one more concussion.
Yeah.
He's done.
Yeah.
I mean, and then he hits another one. He's a vegetable. I mean, there's no way around that. I mean, it's just playing with the head, and we've seen what happens to a lot of NFL stars that have had that happen. 90% of the time, it ends in tragedy.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, folks, stop with the constant tweeting. Stop with the constant Facebooking and hashtagging Vince sucks and all this stuff. Like, you weren't clamoring for these people. Otherwise, they would have been on the WrestleMania card. You were clamoring for... Hell, you were clamoring for John Cena more than you were clamoring for these people. You were clamoring for Bobby Lashley. You were clamoring for Drew McIntyre. You were clamoring for The New Day. You were clamoring for these people, and that's why they were on WrestleMania. Sorry, it's still a business. Don't know what else you want me to say.
Yep.
Moving on here, we'll jump right into them. Icons. The series has been fantastic so far. It's only 2 episodes in, but
yes.
I mean, it's been so many unique looks at stories we never really knew. You know, I mean, specifically, we'll jump right into it with the story of Yokozuna, which is the prime example of you never know what's wrong off camera, because when they're in the ring, it's so larger than life and to the detriment of
him. Yes,
Yokozuna. That was the problem. But I mean, you watched him in the ring and you're just like, oh my God. But you didn't know backstage he was dealing with all this stuff that ended up derailing everything. And I think one of the hard things to watch was, you and I have a bit of a presence now on especially the Minnesota independent scene, in the sense that, we've met some stars, but they're there because Dave has brought them in for a signing. I mean, they're there to sell more tickets to the show. He was working independents. Like, he was a roster member towards the end there.
To work, yeah.
And,
I think I was all the way up to the end. I think he was in, was it in Japan?
England.
In England?
Yeah.
Okay, he was in England. Yeah, so he was on the road to England, yeah.
I forgot how much fun those matches were to watch him wrestle, though. I forgot how just light of foot he was. Just
a huge, agile big man.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the first.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember growing up and watching him, looking at him, and then when I was younger, I didn't know he was not Asian.
Samoan.
I didn't know he was.
You didn't know that he was part of the Samoan dynasty.
When I got older, then I knew him. He was part of the Samoans. I was like, oh my God.
Well, and here's the really unique thing is, again, somebody who knew his family's legacy, but was willing to try something different. And boy, howdy, if it didn't work out great for him.
It worked out beautifully.
And then, of course, I mean, you want to talk about a perfect storm. To be the first of that family to really be the top of the mountain, to not only change from Samoan to Japanese, but to have Mr. Fuji just at the ready to be there and be there the whole time and be a part of something was just, I mean, you look back at the career on camera, where was the fault? Other than the weight got up and they had to hide it later on.
Yeah.
Where was the fault in his career on camera?
No, there wasn't. I mean, he had some great matches.
Oh, God. I mean, well, and of course, everyone remembers WrestleMania, Caesar's Palace. I mean,
yes.
I mean, we can talk about the crap between Giant Gonzalez and Undertaker, but, to focus on, and, it's interesting. Not a moment where I think, because they told the story during Icons about Hulk kind of talked Vince into it by accident type of deal.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. At the time, go back and watch the crowd reaction. It's not like Hulk was over the hill. The fans went crazy. Yeah. The world loved that moment.
Yeah.
And don't act like you didn't, because you did, because the crowd lost their ever-loving minds. But then they went on to work that, story afterwards, and it was good. Hulk and Yokozuna, for about that month or two afterwards was a really good program.
Yeah. And after his first win. It was, I believe they said on there, it was one of the longest reigns
as a
heel world champion.
I believe that was Cornette.
I believe he's I think
who just said in
the
modern day, how often does a heel get a run like that? And by the way, heel the whole time, basically.
Yeah, and anybody would say, is like, well, Brock Lesnar, but Brock wasn't there all the time.
Right. People have to remember he was a heel for 280 days when they were working 350.
Yeah,
virtually the whole week.
Brock was part-time, and he was there. He showed up when he was
contractually
when
obligated.
He wanted or they wanted,
yep.
But Yokozuna, he was there every week.
What did it mean for you to just I know how I felt because again, larger than life was just no other way to describe him. What was it like when like that somber music hit, but then this just Godzilla-like creature walked out? I mean,
it was impressive. I mean, as a kid, I was like, whoa. I mean, looking at him going, he's gonna crush them.
Yeah.
And then when he's in the ring, it's like, oh, he can't move that, but he could move.
Oh yeah.
That was the
and
most shocking thing about it. If he could
when you get
move.
Yeah, when you get older and you and I both get more into the business, you realize he wasn't really dropping all that weight on those guys. I mean, like,
no.
it was incredibly safe what he was doing and everything. It's interesting. Jim Cornette said on, I don't know if it was the drive-through or if it was the experience, he talked about the Icons episode because, Jim was obviously with him.
Oh, yes.
Through a large portion of that. They sent him to a fat camp, basically, and he had paid a guy to bring him buckets of chicken while he was up there. So, I mean, like, he was actually gaining weight at these places and everything. It's like, I mean, and what bothers me is that first of all, to see that family, the Fatu Inoue family, to see the raw emotion that they were all having, I mean, it was just unbelievable.
Yeah,
to just realize, I mean, he wasn't just another family member. He wasn't the patriarch like, obviously the Wild Samoans were, Afa and Sika.
Yeah.
But he was held in such high regard in a family where, God, throw a dart at the board, you could pick from the great High Chief Peter Maivia to the Wild Samoans to The Rock. I mean, to think about how he's regarded in that family. I'm serious.
Yeah,
family of all families.
He was. There was no other world champion in that family until him.
Yeah.
And then after, then The Rock got it afterwards.
Yeah.
But he was the first in the family to bring that title.
And one of the things that I watched that I think probably hit you the hardest was just Afa and Sika taught the family, when you're off the road, your dad, your mom, it's about family. I mean, it probably hit you knowing that, like, when he was home. I mean, hit you in a good way, but obviously hurt because he's no longer around. But like, it probably hit you as like when he was home, it was all about those kids.
Oh yeah,
it was all about making sure that family was number one the whole time.
Being a dad, yeah.
Yep.
When I'm not working, when I'm focusing on making money to take care of these kids,
then
I'm home with the kids. I mean, I had this last 2 weekends off with them,
right?
And the last thing in my head the other day, going to see a movie with them, is like, I got to do this through the summer as often as I can afford to,
right?
Because I enjoyed it.
And the thing about it is that one thing you've always admitted to me is, like, everybody always sits there and acts like, well, kids ain't perfect, this, that. Of course they're not. They're learning how to grow up. They're learning how to be people. If your kids didn't frustrate you, you wouldn't care about your kids. That's just the way that it is. But at the end of the day, they're still your kids. At the end of the day, you're still responsible. I mean, they could be the worst kids in the world for 24 hours. It doesn't mean that you're going to hate them for 72 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You can't.
Well, and if everybody says about my kids, they are some very respectful and good kids.
Well, the fear of what you or their grandmother might do to them might have something to do with that. But
I mean,
if it works, it works.
Well, yeah, I mean, they learn from me and everything, and it makes me happy and proud that, well, they're listening.
Yeah.
and hopefully they'll grow up and be contributing.
It's
adults.
it's so interesting because when you watch these Icon episodes, when you watch any documentary type thing, you go back to where you were when you watched it.
Yeah.
You go back to how you watched it, where you watched it, what you were doing. I think what's so unique is like how many wrestlers who are there now, when we get into Beth's especially, they were at WrestleManias. They were at big events. I mean, they were in these videos that the WWE was panning around, and all of a sudden it's like, I mean, you can pick them out of the actual live footage from the WrestleManias, and yet it's just like, that's our next future star. You didn't have a damn clue at the time, but it's like, God damn, it's like,
yeah, no idea. Yeah,
but no, I mean, Yoko's was very emotional. I think because I got to watch a family who's known for dominance really just kind of emotionally get into the fact that they are a family first and foremost. And I mean, Rodney, as his true name was one of those guys that just, he had a problem. Food was the demon. Food was the issue. I like food myself, but I know when there's a limit. I know when I can or can't. And, I think, I mean, I'm not here to say you and I are in perfect shape. We've both made that very clear.
Oh, yeah.
But I think you and I have the ability to maybe turn around and realize when things are out of control for our friends and family that we'd have to make a decision to change. But obviously we're not at that point yet. But, I mean, was it sad to see him wrestling in grainy video as opposed to the HD the WWE was running? Maybe a little bit for a fan, but, I think it was harder to hear him say things like he'd failed the family. It's like, I don't think they saw it as that. I mean, you reached a certain level that no one had attained until, obviously, like you said, Rock.
Yeah, and watching some of the ones after he was with WWE, I could see that he was missing a few steps.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I could see it. You hate seeing that, but it does happen the farther they get along and everything. And then I think his weight made it. So, unfortunately,
I think he was like, 700 pounds by the end of it?
I think so,
Had to have been at least north of 700 when you look at it. But, I mean, for anyone that, has some time on Peacock, or if you're outside the United States and you still have the WWE Network, congratulations on that.
Yeah, either way, check it out.
Don't just check out the icons. Just go back and watch the whole run that Yokozuna had. Because,
Yeah.
like I said, on camera, he seemed fine.
Yeah.
On camera, the legacy is the legacy. The legacy will never go away.
I think they have, along with on there, they do have a whole slew of
things for,
like they have a whole slew of Beth. They have a whole slew of Yokozuna.
Yeah.
Yokozuna matches. I mean, I think so.
And by the way, again, it's kind of underrated, but damn, if Mr. Fuji wasn't the most perfect person designed to do that.
Mr. Fuji was great when he was a wrestler.
Yep.
And then when he turned into as a manager, he's one of the best. I mean, two of the most memorable ones that I always remember him managing is, Yokozuna and also Demolition.
Yeah.
He did that for a while.
Yeah. And then, of course, to think that you also had Cornette in there as well. I mean, again, Cornette can sell you ice if you're an Eskimo. Fuji can sort of be the man who makes you believe in the gimmick. So, I mean, it was like it just a perfect storm. Sad how it ended, but, I hate to say it, this business is full of a lot of people who didn't get the best ending. And that's not always a fun thing to say, but it's the truth.
Yeah. Oh, it is. Yeah. And I'm trying to look through
Peacock, see what they got.
Peacock and see. Yeah. I mean, I gotta.
Peacock surprisingly has been putting a lot more on a lot faster than I expected. I mean.
Yeah, they've gotten a lot up.
And there's a lot up that you can watch sort of unedited. I mean, it's not as bad as I think everyone thought it was gonna be. Obviously, certain things are out, certain things are not allowed. But I mean, I don't think Peacock's been terrible at it.
No, and everybody is shocked after Chris Jericho was on Stone Cold's podcast there, and it's like, oh, well, they got a whole bunch of Chris Jericho stuff up.
They own his library.
WWE owns
he was in there
90% of his library.
He was in there for 28 years, basically, before he spent the last, 2 in AEW. So we miss you, Rodney. We miss you, Yokozuna. Thank you for just some great...
Thank you for my memories.
Yeah.
God, I loved it.
It's just... again, I don't think anyone in that family... And by the way, remember, folks... They set up a tribute show. I think it was WXW.
I believe so, yeah.
There was some grainy footage in the icons. Folks, Taker and Kane showed up in full gear that night and wrestled. So
love and respect
I mean, so much fun to watch. To move to a slightly happier, but brought more tears to my eyes because I'm just a sucker for this kind of stuff, was Beth Phoenix. Someone who sacrificed literally everything
to live her
dream. And, I think the rough part for me where I almost cried the hardest was when she just was done with it. When she, back in about, I think it was 2013, shortly after Edge had retired, Beth wanted to go home.
Yeah.
And, look, I get it. It's hard. And I think watching that once again, people want to blame Vince for what the women were doing. Folks, look in a mirror, and that's me being serious. I hate to say it, but Leroy comes on here sometimes, and he talks about how the women look and all this other kind of stuff, but he's also going to acknowledge at that point in time, that audience wasn't going to watch Charlotte versus Becky for 15 minutes. They were going to watch Charlotte versus Becky for 15 seconds. I mean, Leroy, you and I have been to a wrestling match where something happens and they got to fill things right then and there, like grab somebody out of the locker room and be like, go out there and do something for 15 minutes, but we got to fill the time. They weren't even asking the women to fill a 10-minute slot. I mean, like, they got 15 seconds to wrestle.
Yeah, barely anything. And
you'd come back from break, there'd be 8 women in the ring for an 8-women tag match, and it'd be over in 15 seconds, boom, on to the next male segment. The wrestling landscape was bikini contests, it was Santa's Little Helpers, it was swimsuit stuff. That was the audience.
Yeah.
The post-Attitudal Era audience, and don't sit here and act like y'all would have been into Charlotte versus Becky back then. You weren't. Sorry. I admit I wasn't. I didn't care that much, whether it was how they were presenting it or how I was as a person. It's irrelevant. You wanted to see the Bella twins be what they were versus what Beth and Natty were. You wanted that.
But, I mean, I think the best part is those two women opened up everybody's eyes saying, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
They can wrestle.
Oh, yeah.
Like the guys.
Well, Beth, I mean, I forgot all the just physical feats that she was showing that nowadays we take for granted because Bianca can do it, because Rhea Ripley can do it, because you've got, even Ember Moon doing it occasionally to some of the smaller gals.
Raquel Gonzalez, too.
Raquel Gonzalez, yeah. We take that stuff for granted, but, like, back then, Leroy, and, you can tell me this, nobody was doing stuff like China.
No. I mean, China was all alone, and there was nothing until Beth and Natty.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
And, they weren't on the top of my radar.
Yeah.
Natalie, because of her dad.
Yeah.
And her uncle.
Yeah.
But Beth was like, no. And then all of a sudden, watching her, it's like, damn. Her being besides China, the second woman to be in a men's Royal Rumble before they started doing the women's Rumble.
And, it's like another thing that's probably going to touch your heart is when she went home and she became a mom and she realized that was the most important thing in her life. And, it's just, once again, much like Michelle McCool with Taker is, I think that these 3 girls, Michelle and Taker's young daughter, and obviously, Adam and Beth's kids. And by the way, Beth got her shot because of our Minnesota girl,
Molly Holly.
A lot of fun there. But no, I mean, obviously Taker's daughter is a little older. She can kind of grasp what Michelle was doing as a wrestler at the time. But I mean, those two girls of the Copeland clan, they're gonna discover what their mom really created.
Yeah.
In terms of a legacy, because it's like anyone who thinks that Beth doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame is just nuts. I mean, again, she was making you care about women's wrestling, which again, I'm sorry for all those do-gooders out there. We didn't care about. Leroy and I have no problem admitting that we didn't give a damn about it at the time.
Oh no,
ECW had a strip poker night. I didn't care about the rest of the show because I wanted to watch the strip poker.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem saying that.
No, I mean, I enjoyed the bikini, the Santa helper. I enjoyed all that stuff.
Okay, back then it was normal. In comparison today, yes, it's incredibly sexist. That doesn't mean we're sexist people. You want your daughter to grow up emulating what Beth Phoenix did. You want her to feel like she can do anything.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change the fact that when Beth was doing what she was doing before Clara was on this earth, that you didn't enjoy the fact that there was a Santa's Little Helper match. Yeah. Like, I mean, folks.
And I honestly think right now, no, this somebody can be mad at me saying this or happy I'm saying this.
Yeah.
I don't see any woman on the roster, NXT, SmackDown, Raw, that could do the bikini stuff. And
that's
Santa's
fair.
helper right now.
And that
I don't want to see them because they show their power. They show their sexiness in that ring.
Yeah.
Doing what they're doing.
Not that I wouldn't mind seeing them. I mean, don't get me wrong. Becky Lynch has some nice shots on the beach, but
yeah. I mean,
but
outside
like you said,
promotional shots, that's great. But other than that, when I see him on TV, I don't want to see him doing that.
Look, here's the thing that I've tried to portray over the last year we've had this show. This being episode 50, almost ironic, like I said, that it's just you and me at the 0/1 to the 50 mark. But
yeah,
folks, tastes change, ideas change. As long as you're willing to acknowledge that change and not act like you were an uppity prick the entire time, I don't see a problem. Leroy and I aren't coming on here and saying, Tori and Candace and Kelly and Beth and Natty, they should have, never been doing these things. No, we enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun doing it.
Oh, yeah.
And now, like Leroy said, I don't think it's sexist to say, I mean, beauty is in the eyes of the beer holder, as I always say. And as wrestling fans, we tend to have a bunch of beer in our hands. But
it helps a lot.
But, it's just, look, things change. Environments change. People change. I said it the night that Bayley debuted on, was she on Raw or SmackDown when she finally debuted the main roster?
Raw.
Was that Raw? Okay. I said it that night. She had a building full of people chanting "Hug Life."
Yeah.
If that don't show you what, she was able to do, I don't know what else there is to tell you. To sit here and act like Natty was appreciated back when she first came in, it's a joke. And it's insulting to Natty. It's insulting to the journey that she had to say that she's, just as respected now as she was then. She wasn't.
No.
Natty
she wasn't.
Natty was not looked at as a beautiful woman. She was looked at as a weird, muscular kind of sideshow attraction and a freak show, I guess would be what the old Carney days would call it. But now Natty is looked at as just another woman on the roster in the best way that I can say that. I know we talked earlier about the cuts about people standing out, but it's so much harder to stand out in the modern day than it would have been back then. And, it's while I don't think this, you're right. I don't think this current roster of females would have made as much sense in the bikini contest, but they also wouldn't have gotten over because nobody wanted to see a 15-minute women's match. It was called the bathroom break for a reason. Yeah. I hate to say it. You and I can come on here and say Bianca and Sasha deserved to be the main event of night one. And Jim Cornette has every right to sit there and say that while the match was good, it shouldn't have been the main event. Because, folks, Jim, in my opinion, doesn't live in the past. He just sees what the past was, and he sees the impact that it had on the audience. There's not 10 million people watching wrestling anymore. It's just not a thing.
Yeah.
It's a niche. We get it. We still love it. We're okay with it. Are there 10 million total? Yeah, but they're not watching Raw the way they used to. It's not their primary thing to do on Mondays. I'm not doing what I used to do when I was a kid I wasn't really working during the Attitude Era, but I was working more towards the Ruthless Aggression Era, was I would change my work schedule and be like, yeah, I need Mondays off around 6. And they're like, well, you got sports or something? I'm like, sure, let's go with that. I never said that I was coming home to watch wrestling.
Well, yeah.
I blamed homework. I blamed wrestling. I blamed my studies. I wanted to watch wrestling.
I've had, which is really ironic.
Yeah.
I've had Sundays and Mondays off for as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
And mostly it was football, but then, yeah, during I was watching Attitude during WCW.
Yeah.
I never worked Monday.
Yep.
So I got to watch everything Monday.
So, it's just, I hope that people watch it and realize what Beth was doing, the struggles that she had to go through, everything that she fought and clawed for. And you know what? She had every right to go home because she didn't think things were going to change. But even Edge, Adam Copeland, her husband, said in the thing, you're not going to see the change right away. You're just not. Because when something comes along, China definitely opened the door for people, but even China's legacy, regardless of if you're the Cornette believer or you're our believer of it, her legacy wasn't really shown because of the in-between. China's legacy is as much Beth's legacy as anything, but it just took China forever because, again, society had to change. Everything had to become what it was. Now, you can sit there and say, because of women wanting more equality, which they deserve, 110%, I'm not saying they don't, but because that's a big topic now, that's why Sasha and Bianca were night one's main event. You and I can sit here as people who look at it every day and say, that was deserved. No questions asked.
Beautiful, and she still got the scar.
Oh God,
I saw that Friday.
Oh my God. I forgot who it was, but somebody mentioned that the people behind the hard camera, actually had to turn around and make sure a gun didn't go off because that's how damn loud that was. But anyway, no, my whole thing about this is just Beth's legacy. And maybe we're talking more about Beth than we are Yoko, but like I said, Yoko years ago, his legacy was intact. She also has a longer time in WWE than Yoko did, sadly. But the thing is that Beth just got to do everything she wanted to do. She got to be herself, and she said it. If you don't fit in, you probably weren't meant to. And look, you can hate on, Vince not pushing women for the longest time, but he only goes where the consumer goes. If they wanted a 60-minute classic between Natty and, Candice Michelle, I'll throw that out there because Candice, I think, got better in the ring later in her career. If they wanted a 60-minute classic, Vince would have given it to him.
But nobody wanted it.
But you wanted Natty to be a manager, and you wanted Candice to show off the assets that God gave her at the time. That's what you wanted, people.
Yep.
You wanted the 19-year-old Kelly to come in and do a striptease. That's what you wanted. Stop acting like you didn't want that. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's exactly where we get into this problem of people either being called hypocrites or becoming hypocrites is, just say what you wanted. I didn't want Tori Wilson and Dawn Marie to wrestle in a grudge match. I wanted the hotel scene, okay?
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. These days, I want to see Becky and Charlotte beat the living holy hell out of each other because that's fun.
Yeah.
But, the tastes change. Part of me as a red-blooded male American still might want the hotel scene, but I can be very happy that I'm getting a wrestling clinic for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
That's
great.
It's like hats off to Beth. I'm more than thankful that she finally got to see what she did, and I'm glad that she was able to know that that what she did matter.
Yeah.
And it might have taken a while, but seriously, without Beth Phoenix and Natty, Natty, in my opinion, deserves her story to be told someday as well. Without those two, I hate to say it, we might still have the Dawn Maries, the Sables, and again, you stand here and love Sable, but Sable's not Charlotte. You know that. You're not about to sit here and compare the two in the ring. That's not a thing. So, it's like without a Beth Phoenix just continually trying to be different. And by the way, folks, Beth is a prime example as to why Trish was number 1 on that list of the top 50 females. Because they told her, we want Trish who can wrestle, but also looks good in a bathing suit. But that's why she's number 1 and no one else is, because if you really look at Trish's legacy, she was the total package.
Oh, yeah, she was.
She was everything. And I hate to say it, folks, you can always make the joke that, oh, Vince loves the blondes, which is at this point kind of comedic.
It's so true.
But it's that American stereotype that blondes have more fun. It's ingrained in you, the society. You wanted to see, Trish more than you saw Lita. Don't act like Lita was on your radar the same way Trish was. She wasn't. I loved Lita because I've always enjoyed the chick aspect more than the beautiful blondes, but it stood out to you more that she was a blonde than Lita as the redhead. It did.
Yeah.
That's just fact. So it speaks to, why was Trish number 1? Because they kept trying to replace her. And they've never come that close.
No, they haven't.
The closest may have been Alexa Bliss if she had been able to stay healthy and have more of an in-ring wrestling career versus what she has been doing, which, again, I love. But, folks, she's number 1 because you're trying to do that one more time. And Beth is probably the closest you ever got.
Yeah,
Alexa's the closest modern day. The closest ever is still Beth Phoenix.
Yeah. Yeah, she is.
Hats off to Beth also for understanding that if she really wanted to make this work, she had to get a little more, and I'll just use the word, slutty. She had to. Because that's what was going to get the men who buy. This is the same argument as the Wonder Woman issue.
Yeah.
Feminists are like, why is she dressed the way she is? Because there's a bunch of virgin dudes in their basement who buy the comics. If the women became the main thing, they would have put her in a nun's outfit and y'all would have been happy. Or mad, I don't really know.
Yeah.
But it's like you're creating for your consumer. That's what wrestling is. And Beth, although being very uncomfortable, more of a jeans and a t-shirt kind of girl, she figured it out.
Yeah.
And she did a wonderful job of doing it. And it's like I said, I'm just glad that in the episode we watched of Icons that she got to see what her legacy ultimately was and became. Because now you have the Rheas, the Biancas, even the Charlottes, the Beckys, and the Baileys and the Banks, all looking at Beth and saying, this is exactly why we wanted to do this. Which is fantastic for me.
Again.
So, for me, that episode was almost more emotional only because of, how I get emotional when people's dreams kind of come true. That's just kind of how I am. It was maybe more emotional. Both were emotional, but in completely opposite ways.
Yeah.
I
understand.
How I would have loved for Rodney to have been there to discuss that legacy, but time is what it is, regardless of how we feel. And okay, so your final thoughts on Beth's Icon episode?
Yeah, and I had some food in my mouth at the same time.
Yeah. We have to cover a lot on the show for that. But,
I know. I loved it. I wasn't the biggest Beth Phoenix fan when she started, but I became one. Mm-hmm. And I so much enjoyed her time when she came back for the Women's Royal Rumble. Enjoyed the hell out of that. And, she made, because of, help with Molly Holly, she carried on what Molly was trying to do and kept going.
It's so nice, as I said, to discuss the legacy and that women like Natty and Beth and Molly had. But God, there's also a part of me that would have been like, what if they'd come along now?
Yeah.
What if Natty had come in and instead of being the older veteran, what if she was age-wise, hype-wise, lack of rusty gimmicks wise, what if she was coming up at the same time as a Bliss, as a Bayley, as a Charlotte and Becky? I mean, Natty would be right there.
Yeah, she'd out wrestle.
The hype is on the 4 Horsewomen. We're not going to deny that.
Oh yeah.
But the technical skill that Natty still has, Natty and Charlotte would be interchangeable right now, and I actually believe that 110%.
Oh, definitely.
Because the 8x10s that they're selling now of the divas, or the women, I should say, they're not 8x10 glamour shots. They're 8x10 just like you get from Darren. They're action shots. They're posed as a tough shot. I mean, that's really what, that's really where the landscape has kind of flipped.
Yeah, it has.
And I honestly believe and sit here and 100% would say, again, Natty and Charlotte could be interchangeable as champion right now if Natty had just come along a little bit later.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right.
I think, and also, I think, one, I know RVD Icon's coming up.
RVD's on the way up.
They're gonna have a British Bulldog one.
God, I can't wait for the British Bulldog one.
That's gonna make me cry. I think,
oh yeah.
Maybe. Oh, and I can't. There's.
You cry when you watch the Bulldog walk onto the stage.
Yeah, I gotta. Yeah, I did. And just and I don't know who else they're gonna have on there, but those two I know of that are coming up, and God knows what else they're gonna have.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
All right, so now we move on to the idea here of where we are in terms of a lot of the title pictures. We're not going to do Raw after Mania other than just to say, look, I know Raw after Mania used to mean something. We're still in COVID, okay? I know a lot of people out there think that we're done, think that it's over, there's a vaccine out there. Well, first of all, if you don't get it, you can't exactly do your part. And number two, we still have to make sure that everybody gets healthy, gets safe, and does things a little bit differently for right now. The concert that I paid $500 tickets for has been postponed another year.
Oh, jeez.
And the band said, we know that sucks, but it does not, come close to the feelings of loss that have happened over the last year. Hard to believe that a punk rock type band from the early or the late 2000s has more empathy than any freaking former president seems to have for the hundreds of thousands of people that have passed. But I'm not here to get too political.
Well, I did like and see that the Viking Raiders
that was
are
fun.
back.
That was
fun.
I'm
glad he's off injury and feeling close to 100%.
So it's like, look, folks, you're not gonna really feel that energy until the crowds are back.
Oh yeah.
There's no way. Because, watching this Icon, you're watching all this old footage with 10,000, 30,000 people in the arena, and you're just like, God damn, I missed that.
Yeah.
God damn, I miss it.
Yeah. So what do you think about Raw, Lashley, and Drew, number 2?
Is it too early for it? I don't think so, because back when Backlash was the first pay-per-view after Raw, or after WrestleMania consistently, okay, fine. I'll say it. If people want to get mad, turn it off, whatever. WrestleMania 20. What was the main event? It was Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and no, it wasn't Daniel Bryan. It was Chris Benoit, because I know it was a triple threat match, but Daniel Bryan did not put himself in the WrestleMania 20
did not.
triple threat match. What was the main event at Backlash that same year? It was Triple H versus Shawn Michaels versus Chris Benoit at Backlash.
Yeah.
So, folks, don't act like we didn't already do this years ago. Don't act like the Backlash doesn't stand for what is the Backlash of WrestleMania.
Well, they're calling it this WrestleMania's Backlash.
Yeah,
that's what they're calling it this year.
So was it early for them? Who's to say? Again, COVID is this monstrous thing that is hanging over the heads of everything. Maybe they're rushing some stories because of COVID. Maybe they're making them longer because of COVID. We don't know. But they put on a hell of a big man fight at WrestleMania. Let's do it again.
Yeah, Keith Lee isn't back yet.
No.
He would be in that picture totally when he comes back.
Oh, yeah.
That, and then I don't know. I don't know if they're going to have the New Day try to recapture their belts.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would work right now. I don't even know if they do, but
I don't know. I mean,
we'll see that.
For me, Raw is where it is. We've yet to see anything with Sheamus really come to fruition yet.
Well, he's got the belt. Yeah, we'll see what happens there.
So, but I mean, it's just what I'm sitting here trying to fathom is just where we're at in society, where we're at with COVID, where we're at with all these things, and it's just like hell. I think it's like half of Minnesota has apparently already taken the vaccine. I wish that were higher.
Yeah.
I don't know why there aren't people clamoring to do it, but I'm not here to get into the discussion as to why you should or shouldn't do it. But
didn't take me long. I sat down for 5 minutes, and boom, I had my first one in the week after.
Yeah.
So it was pretty good.
Yeah.
But I'd say the most likely the Raw Women's triple threat probably at this next preview.
Yeah.
Asuka,
Rhea
and Charlotte.
Yep.
I'm pushing for Rhea to win.
I think that Rhea's.
I think she should.
I think that Rhea is, and it's interesting. We talked about this when she debuted on Raw before WrestleMania.
Yeah.
There's half the internet is she comes straight from NXT and they're just gonna push her to the moon. What's with this people just giving shots, not earning it? And then there's the side who are like, no, do that. Please shoot her to the goddamn moon. And it's like, folks, there are faces in wrestling where their job is to fight from underneath. Dusty was the prime example of when he finally got to the NWA title, it meant something because he spent so long trying to get there. Rhea Ripley is a fucking star. From the moment you say go, from the moment her leg goes up in the air and hits the ground and the freaking lights go crazy, she is a larger-than-life star.
Well, I said she's one of my son's new favorite wrestler. When her music hits, I see the look in his face where he's like, yeah, Rhea. He knows, and he gets excited.
But that's
what we need.
But again, that's the star power.
Oh, yeah.
That, look, Becky, she got a great reaction when she first debuted, but that's because people were clamoring for different blood in the women's division. But now, Becky is still she's the man. I have the shirt on today.
Yes,
so
you do.
I gotta represent. But Becky is always going to be the one who had to fight to become Stone Cold, just like Stone Cold had to. The Rock, yeah, okay, we all know the journey from possibly getting fired to the Nation of Domination to what he was, but he has such star power and charisma that he's always looked at as the movie star where Stone Cold was the blue-collar worker. Charlotte's the movie star. Becky's the blue-collar.
Yep.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's totally true.
So Charlotte is always going to look like a star that you want to see get knocked out by Becky. Rhea is just a star. She doesn't have to fight from underneath because she's just dominant.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that they see that in her and that she'll get a chance to prove to Vince or whoever's running the women's division right now. It certainly isn't Kenny because it's actually good.
Yep.
She's going to get this opportunity, I hope, to show that week in and week out, even if it's a random Monday in the middle of Poughkeepsie, that she's a star.
Oh, yeah.
That she is a larger-than-life character, which is what they're always trying to build. And she, like I said, she's 5'7". She's not 5'10", 5'11". She's not a 6-foot-tall woman. She's not Beth in China.
No.
But the presentation is the same.
It is. Oh, yeah.
It's all done correctly. It's all done in a way that at WrestleMania, look, Asuka looked good, but Rhea looked like a damn star.
Oh, yeah. She
and
did.
I just hope that that she, and look, if they eventually give it to Charlotte, I don't care, but can I get a freaking money grab out of it? Can I get Charlotte and Rhea back and forth for a couple of months?
I hope
Can
so.
I get that?
I hope so.
God, it'd be amazing.
It'd be great. Oh yeah. I mean, you go there, then we
because whether or not you like it or not, and yes, the dress that she wore on the Monday Night After Raw kind of reminded me of Matt Riddle for a second, but I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, I agree
but
with you there.
Love it or not, like it or not, folks, Charlotte turns the needle when she's on TV. She does. Sorry, I don't care how many people are tired of it. You watch when she's on the screen.
Yeah,
you just do. But again, Rick, what I was going to say here, Leroy, is you watched her daddy in his heyday.
Oh, God,
you
yes.
watched the Nature Boy. But here's the thing. You love him now, but you wanted to see him lose back then.
Oh, God, yeah. I loved him, but I wanted to see his ass kicked.
The black community, it's been said, by Snoop Dogg especially, Snoop Doggy Dogg, that they looked up to Ric Flair because he showed off the rich, the pizzazz, the bling, all that kind of stuff. But the average person in them towns he was running, the average, I'll say it, southern white person at the time, they wanted to see Ric Flair lose. He got his ass kicked most of the match, and then when he walked out with the title, you were throwing shit at the TV.
Yeah, because we got, the Carpenter and Plumber boys there.
Yeah.
They didn't like that rich boy.
Yeah. But that's my whole thing, is just she makes you hate her. You watch because you want to watch for the day that Vince gets tired of her. But Vince knows that more than you do.
Uh-huh.
And the day that he's finally tired of her is the day that you turn around and do exactly what we did with Rick, and that's finally appreciate everything the Nature Boy did.
Yeah.
But while she's a star, she's doing exactly what her daddy did.
Oh, yeah. To
you, like Ric Flair is God. I mean, he's Mount Rushmore. He is the GOAT.
Totally.
He's the GOAT.
Yes. No, hands down.
But when he was winning 16 world titles, you hated his damn guts. You wanted someone to shave that blonde head of his and send him back to whatever hole in California he, popped out of. But this is wrestling. This is the wrestling that we all forget still. And this is why I sometimes go back to Jim Cornette and I defend and say, no, what he's saying would still get over.
It would. Totally.
Because wrestling's never changed.
No,
Also, by the way,
I
recommend everyone goes to to YouTube and watches the special where Jim Cornette takes the behind the Dark Side of the Ring guys from Vice into his little treasure room of wrestling.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my God, he's got things in there. Oh, what I wouldn't do to just take 5 minutes in that room. That room, he said, if it's happened in wrestling from the days of the Great Depression until about the late 80s, early 2000s, he's got it in that room.
Dang.
I'm gonna send you the video.
I'm gonna have to watch.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you the video because I just, oh my God, if you're a fan of wrestling, regardless of if it's Jim or not, there is history, and even the random shots you get, even though he's doing an interview, the history that's on the wall. I mean, it's like, I know Jim would never allow me, but I want to be in that room for an hour because my God, it's gorgeous.
I definitely would. So what do you think?
Moving on here to should we just go right into the women's title over there on SmackDown?
Yeah, I was just saying, let's go because we kind of talked about everything on Raw. Let's go to SmackDown.
Yeah, okay.
I mean,
yeah.
Freddie, they teased it.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Eventually, Bianca and the Street Profits, they'll all have the championships in the family.
Honestly, I think that yes, I think it was time to bring the belts off of the Street Profits because they were at a high, and why not take it off when they're on a high? But they proved that as a tag team, they can easily both be in that title picture all of the time. And
do you think they'll get the title back eventually here?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah,
most definitely. But yeah, and the other thing about it is that that's a team where and knock on wood, and if it happens next week, I'm going to be pissed. But if Vince decides to cut them as a tag team and make them into singles competitors, I think they've both proven that both in ring speaking, they can both survive a singles run.
Oh, definitely.
Without a doubt. But my biggest thing here is they're clearly the best tag team on SmackDown.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah,
and they both clearly are into being a tag team on SmackDown. And I think that they have the opportunity to just, if they get it back, I don't think anyone's going to be like, oh, great, this again. No, I think they're fairly still that entertaining to where people still want to see it.
They are so entertaining. My kids love it. I mean, even, and Eben, he didn't do it before, but now he is. He sees Super of it, and he goes, and we want to smoke. I was like, oh, boy.
Oh boy!
I love his enthusiasm. For Bianca, it's like most likely rematch with Sasha. I'm guessing
probably.
And then
although
next?
Although the women's division on SmackDown, I think has a lot more opportunity in it than people think.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of sleeping giants that you can have in that division that can really sort of, pop out and, give her a legitimate match, a legitimate fight.
Well, I think the two big ones that are going to come out probably sooner or later is going to be Sasha and Bayley.
Yeah.
And then...
Well, Bayley's... Well, honestly, I know that Bianca and Bayley already had their run, but to have Bayley go after Bianca the champion versus Bianca the rookie... You can tell that story.
Oh, yeah, and she's going to always put it in Bianca's face. I am the longest rated SmackDown.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be beat in like that, like crazy, of course.
Well, and like I said, Bayley, especially with the way she's been with the whole ding-dong hello, she is...
God, that's so annoying.
Oh, it's so annoying, but boy, the fact that we hate it makes it perfect. She's proven that she's just a ticking time bomb waiting to go off and have another great segment run with someone.
Oh, yeah.
So,
IC title. And I'm glad Big E is still
saying
that he's hurt, from the WrestleMania, which is great.
Like I said, Allison was not happy with this match.
Yes,
she still is not happy with this match.
Still.
But, attention, America, the heel is not supposed to be better than the face.
Mm-hmm.
That is why they have lackeys. That is why Yokozuna needed Mr. Fuji. That is why Mr. Fuji existed. That is why Jim Cornette existed for the Rock and Roll Express versus the Midnight Express.
Yep.
This is why Bobby Heenan was Bobby Heenan. This is why Jesse... I could go on in that monotone and just name people for days here,
God,
folks.
yes, you can.
But it's just no. This is perfect. This is great. I love it. He has an army sort of with him. He has a general. He has a following, and he's just a snarky, big smiled, fuck you heel, and it's great.
Yeah,
love it.
I mean, he's
absolutely love it.
He's gonna have a good run. I mean,
I hope.
Is Big E gonna take it off, or that's what is he gonna get the title back, or
is Big E moving on to bigger and better
moving
things?
up to the bigger title?
Yeah. We'll go right to that then, I guess. Look, Cesaro, why not try to capitalize on all the momentum he has?
Oh yeah.
I think it's great that Seth is still involved because again, Seth can work his ass off.
Oh, God, yeah.
Seth can make everyone look better, and this gimmick, again, as a heel, it's going to make us hate him. And I swear to God, Rue is picking them suits out, and I guarantee Becky I guarantee Becky don't have much of a say in it because she's probably off training for a comeback, and Seth's in Rue's room and puts a white suit down, and Rue's playing finger paint with it. Or something like that. I don't know, but like, goddamn, them suits. By
and
Seth.
he did come out with that new entrance music.
Yep.
You know, and it's I got to listen to it a little bit more.
Yeah.
The next time and everything. But yeah, I mean, that'll be great. But yeah, hopefully.
And you know what? You know what? In my opinion, why not pull the trigger on Cesaro?
Yeah.
He's wearing the mouthpiece again, so not really a chance that you're going to have the issue involving the teeth again.
Yep.
He's again. Knock on wood, he's found a way to be healthy. He's found a way to put on great matches. He's obviously a physical specimen. People love it.
Oh God, yes.
So yeah, I mean, if you're me, I've got no issue with finally. And by the way, again, he's hotter than hell right now. Is Cesaro?
Yeah.
white hot. It's an absolute joy to watch, and I don't necessarily know what else, where else he can go other than the main title picture. And I think he'd be a fresh face for Roman. And, of course, Roman can once again play off perfectly, who the hell are you? Why do you think you deserve this? And you've been here for I mean, Roman can literally pick up where Seth left off and run with it, and it fits prime.
It does.
It
God,
fits
yes, it does.
perfectly. I love it. And
Yeah.
I honestly, am just looking forward to Roman continuing this magnificent run he's been on as the head of the table. It's so refreshing to watch. And it's so refreshing to have Paul just be so subservient to it, to be so indebted to him and all of this stuff. And I love it.
It is. It's great.
SmackDown's in great hands. It's going great. I loved Paul on Talking Smack when he was talking to Bianca about pinning all 4 horsemen. And Paul, being who Paul was, he's like, that's a great point brought up by my co-host, which is surprising. All offense intended. Yeah, I know. It was,
oh, my God. Yeah.
Paul is all about when the camera's on, sell the tickets. And it's just SmackDown is the A show. It deserves to be where it is. It deserves to be the top of the mountain pinnacle. And I love it. Just absolutely.
Yeah, what he said to Bianca, to do what she's going to do, keep going. I'm like,
and also,
damn right.
And also, it seems like, and I know his soundbite didn't 100% say this, it seems like that Logan Paul was unaware that Kevin Owens was going to stun him. And that's maybe why he took that stun so bad. Was I don't know how much Logan knew about what was going on, but I don't know. Logan maybe getting back in with WWE. I'm like, as much as I don't like Logan Paul as a person, I'd love to see him get his ass kicked a few more times by KO. I ain't got a problem with that.
Why didn't he realize that he was going to get hit?
Because Logan Paul is an idiot. Logan Paul is still wondering why everyone's so angry at him, and it's like, bro, you went into a suicide forest, you saw a dead body, and instead of reporting it and turning off the camera like Japanese law says that you do, you still filmed it and you made fun of it. Like, I mean, you're an idiot, bro. Straight up. Like, I mean, I don't know if WWE was desperate to work with somebody and they chose your ass or what it was, but
yeah.
Anyway,
something like that.
And if that was your brother Jake, I don't care. You're both douchebags. Anyway, Jake Paul knocking out some MMA guy in a boxing match last night in the first round. Fight a real boxer and tell me that this is going to be a first-round knockout. No.
I was watching it, too, and the guy was standing there. All of a sudden, he's like, and he stumbles.
He's
like
an
the
MMA
ref
guy.
Goes, yep, we're done.
He's an MMA guy who probably doesn't do much stand-up.
No.
So, Jake, either be a man, strap up a pair of balls, and, get into the MMA ring like you said you were going to do with Conor McGregor. I don't care how bad Conor's last couple fights have been. Conor will still kick your damn ass back to whatever hole you live in California. Or, for the love of God, face a real boxer. And I'm not talking some amateur who's 3 fights into his pro career. Face a real boxer.
Yeah.
Face a former champion. You want to make some money in boxing, go face a boxer. Don't face a bunch of MMA guys.
Go face Tice.
Oh,
Mike Tyson would kill him.
Oh, Mike Tyson would still knock his ass out. I don't care how old or slow Mike is. Jake's stupid enough to get close enough with one punch. Mike Tyson gonna knock his ass flat out.
He's gotten older, but he's not too much slower.
Oh, that power's still there.
He's quick as hell.
Oh God, you get
all
right. I think a lot of the title situations are sort of up in the air, but I mean, I like where they're going so far. I think
it'll be fun to see what they do.
So now it has been 50 episodes. We are about how long into number 50? What's our time there?
We're in an hour and 33 minutes.
Okay, so we're about an hour. Okay, so we're about 90 minutes into the 50th show. It has just been you and me, and like I said, I always find these shows to be a lot of fun because you've even said from the get-go, a lot of people don't understand. You like when I go back and forth with the people that we have on the show.
Oh yeah, it's fun.
So people are always like, Leroy doesn't say much. I'm like, yeah, but you have to understand, Leroy's okay with that. Leroy,
it's like, I'm the on-air talent like Zach. Zach is Zach's the host most of the time. I'm the producer.
Yeah.
That's how kind of just worked that way, and
that's kind of how the dynamic sort
which is fine.
And the thing about it is, folks, we never even planned that. That's just kind of how it worked out. The first time that we had Mike on the show, because going back to our first, Mike was our first guest. Mike, Mike Mercer from the Lounge. It's like Leroy and I just kind of got to a point where Leroy, even though he has the cards in front of him like I do, he kind of just gave me that look of like, just keep going. I mean, you and Mike got some great stuff going right here. So I mean, it's just. It was a dynamic that came naturally. It was organic. It wasn't we sat down and I said, Leroy, I want this platform so I can go off for 2 hours. This whole thing, as we've told the story 100 times and we've told it once, I said I had plans to do it with a buddy, and 2 weeks later, Leroy's like, all right, so this shit's coming from Amazon. I'm like, well, I guess we're doing this. Hands in the air.
Oh, yeah.
All hands on deck there. So, I mean, I look back, I've had so much fun. We've learned so many cool stories. We've been able to talk to so many amazing people. We have so many opportunities, I think, now when the world starts to open up a little more. And, it's interesting. People have asked us, I'm sure you get asked this before, was this the right year to start a podcast? And I think the correct answer is no. But folks, much like with WWE and their budget situation, we didn't see COVID coming, but also we got to see a year in wrestling, and we got the chance to talk about things that had never happened in wrestling. I mean, you think about, we started the show, we opened the like our very first show, we were talking WrestleMania.
Yeah,
we were diving right into a WrestleMania, and it became the most unique WrestleMania of all time because there were no fans. It was over 2 nights. It was in the Performance Center. The camera angle was something you hadn't seen before. I mean, everything was just... It was thrown in a blender, and they got something out of it.
Yeah.
And,
even, I think it's been around 10, 12 years that they opened the Performance Center.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I look at this, and I'm like, I don't know, even though you and I talked about how much we wanted to really keep in touch with the indies scene, I don't know if you and I would have had as much to talk about in wrestling if not for what COVID forced all the wrestling companies to do.
Yeah.
And, I think the most unique thing for me, correct me if I'm wrong, for you, is we are getting to see wrestling like the days of old, where people are having to figure things out and not in front of people. So, if, Darren talked about crowds kind of taking over and wanting to control the show and all that kind of stuff. In a world where you kind of have to just work what you've been told and not go with the crowd reaction because there is no crowd reaction, I think we've seen people grow up quickly. And we've seen people maybe fizzle their careers out faster, all in the same breath.
Oh, definitely. I mean...
Because, honestly, like I said, you've been watching longer than me. Does this year compare to you ever watching wrestling?
No,
It can't.
It has been the most unique year just in general. But with wrestling, as foremost, yeah, there's nothing been like that. Going and seeing a show where there's just like a handful of people in the area is one thing, but nobody, and all that's in there is the guys announcing the shows and the cameraman and the wrestlers. That's it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And it's interesting, right before our 49th, or right before our 47th show, which, we could have just done the one show that Sunday and been like, hey, here's night one. We'll talk next week. We decided to do those 3, and now we're at 50. To think that we were able to get that live crowd back towards the 50 mark.
Yeah.
From where we were, the beginning one being us talking about empty arenas, to now we're like, they're back type of situation. I don't know how memorable our show would have felt to us if we were just commentating on a normal year of, oh, the fans reacted to it, but was it really that good? And now it's like, okay, there were no fans. Was it good? Well, now you can really look at it and, forget the pop that it got. You can sit there and be like, did I like it or didn't I? I mean, I feel like a lot of WrestleMania moments and just a lot of moments in general, because, I mean, the truth is, you go back and watch the Attitude Era, outside of Rock, Stone Cold, Triple H, Taker, Kane, a lot of it doesn't age great.
No.
Because it was such a large roster. There were so many things happening. And, back then, anything they touched turned to gold. They were the Midas of entertainment.
Oh, God, they were, yes.
But now that we're able to look back on it damn near 30 years, a lot of the mid-card stuff really doesn't hold up to what we may have thought it was. Maybe the rose-colored glasses are finally gone because time happened. But
something like that.
But yeah. I think the COVID era, the pandemic era, is going to hold up very differently, because you are going to eventually, when the fans are allowed back in and there's a 20,000 person crowd, take the vaccine and you'll get to do that. Again, that's just me stating the obvious. When that happens, we're going to look back, and the same way people found out that you and I worked an essential job, we were retail guys.
Yeah.
And, I've said before, in the beginning when essential became a thing, I feel like the word essential has actually been a little bit perverted since this whole thing started. And here's why I say that. When you say essential, I feel like most people are talking about doctors and nurses and firemen and emergency workers, and they're amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Hats off to them. But I think people forget all of the people who never stopped working weren't just cops, firemen, medical workers. There's been a lot of people that went out at a very scary time where they didn't know what was going to happen. And, you and I used to go to work, and it's like, oh, is this person going to give us COVID? Is that person going to... It's like we didn't know what we were bringing home. So, it's like, for me, essential... I'm going to look back at that word, and yeah, as much as I thank the doctors and nurses who worked these tireless hours, I'm going to think about the people who went to the restaurant, cooked the food, had it delivered. I mean, a lot of people became a lot more important.
Yeah, I even getting my oil change. I mean, I had a guy at the oil place, if you saw it, my badge was like, work Quick Trip.
Yeah.
And he didn't say flat out, hey, thank you, but in his roundabout way, he said to me, hey, thanks for working there and keeping open, because you got stuff that I enjoy.
Yeah.
And, it's like, hey, I'm glad you guys are here so I can get my oil change.
Yeah,
too,
exactly. So, I mean, I feel like you and I are going to look back on this year, and we had to be really creative when we started the show, and that's where and it's funny, but like you and I, when we weren't really allowed to say COVID, you and I were spitting ideas all day at work.
Well, it's people don't realize. I mean, we don't use the whiteboard. It's sitting right behind Zach. I'm not going to get rid of it.
No.
Just because. I mean, we don't really use the whiteboard anymore, because usually it's instant message right now, flipping something to me, so I can figure it out. But
at the time,
it was a whiteboard, and the first thing we had around in there is, what are we going to do this week?
What's the pandemic reason as to why we're locked down? What's the lockdown reason? And is that square still there? No, it's not.
No, it's off,
no, it's not. But no.
And that was total. God, that was total bullshit.
Oh my God, we had to come up with the dumbest wrestling reasons we could come up with, and what was so much fun was that was us kind of living kayfabe for a little while, because because think about it, we didn't just do it, laugh about it, and then in the middle of the show be like, oh yeah, this is not happening because of the pandemic. We had to say in the middle of the show, there's no fans because of whatever the reason was that day.
Yes.
And it's so unique to me, because you and I have both learned how to do things. I've learned how to pace the show when we've got people on versus when when it's just you and me.
Yeah.
You have figured out so much technology stuff that has grown you as a person since, and from just going on Podomatic, putting these episodes up, and being like, hey, we got a couple of downloads, to now it's like, if we're not at 100, we're almost insulted because
I know.
we put in the work. But now the YouTube game, we're up to like 37 or 36 podcasts on there. I know you're gonna drop a few more here.
Yeah, I got to catch up and get closer to the 50 there.
Yeah,
so I
in a
can get
couple of
everything
days.
going.
But just, I mean, we have had maybe the most unique year of wrestling possible, and we not only got to talk about it. For the love of God, we had to like improvise so many times when things would happen. And, it's like, again, we didn't know if we were going to be able to do the show. And I'm so thankful that we got to keep doing the show, because in a time of uncertainty, you trusted me into your home, into your kitchen with your kids here. You trusted that I was going to do the right thing. I mean, yeah, we worked together and we kind of proved it, but you still trusted that on my off time I was still doing the right things. So this show could have just easily been like, well, we got 3 episodes out, everything locked down, we'll come back in a year. No, we kept this going.
And I honestly think if we would have done something like that, we probably wouldn't have kept going.
Oh, no.
It would have been dead on the water.
Yeah. And it's like I've been so blessed to do it because we've been able to reignite our passion for this because it was COVID, because there was so much going on. We kind of were forced to watch it almost. And for better or for worse, whether that was Spot Monkey or WWE, for better or for worse, we kind of had to watch wrestling because it's like, we can't just come on here. I know early on we would list our top 5, this, that, yada, yada. Now it's kind of like it's literally a news outlet types of situation where we kind of have to keep up each week with what's going on. And to do that in the pandemic has been so unique. And to watch the Wednesday Night Wars, and sorry, Chris Jericho, but the Wednesday Night Wars, nobody won because they got moved because of hockey, and you're still there, and you're still not what you think you are, regardless of what the rating says. But anyway, no, I just think that, was it the fun thing to do to rip on Spot Monkey? I think it was the popular thing to do, but ultimately I think that regardless of if we had the same opinions as people with bigger platforms, I think we got our thoughts on it out. I think we were able to, portray it as ourselves. And, that's been my biggest thing is I never wanted to have this show be scripted. Ever.
Oh.
Obviously, when you talk about Al being on, and we're not going to do one of our normal plugs, but obviously Haitian Heat, big sponsor. Big ups to Al for being there for us. Again, please go Haitian Heat on Facebook. Please call and get your next bottle. Stuff's fantastic.
Put all that shit on everything.
Yeah, but the thing is like, I never wanted the show to be scripted. That's what I wanted to get through to people. I didn't want to read off a cue card. I wanted bullet points, and then I wanted to just be like, all right, red lights on, go. And I feel like we achieved that. I mean, we haven't had a script. No one that's come on here has been scripted, whether they've been in studio or out of studio. No one, nobody came in and we gave them a list of what they couldn't do. I mean, we gave them a couple of things because, we are still trying to somehow profit off of it. But
somehow, yes.
But, those are mostly YouTube standards. Other than that, it was kind of, there's the mic. You say what you want to say.
Go for it.
I mean, like I said, I don't know if we've ever been listened to by Brian Cage or the Young Bucks or Joey Janela, but I wouldn't blame them if they didn't like us right now if they turn this thing on.
They might not, but I mean...
But the thing about it is like, I can respect you guys doing your own thing. I don't have to like it, but I can respect it.
Yeah.
And I would hope that in some way they would have respect for the fact that if we get big on this, it's not going to be because we Dave Meltzered the crap out of AEW and said everything was a 5-star match. It's because we sat there and we at least looked at people and said, if you love it, great. Here's why we think it sucked.
Yeah.
And maybe along the way we, made people not change their opinion, but maybe be a little more honest about their opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't say everything they did was bad.
No.
A lot of stuff they did we didn't like, but it's like, hey, this is what we like this great match, this and that, but everything around it really kind of sucked.
Yeah.
And
that's why we created the shit sandwich segment, which on any given Sunday can be 2 shits and a ham or 2 pieces of bread and shit.
That's true.
It's that.
I'm just looking forward to what is a possibility coming up next, because with the technology what I can do, because I said I do some post stuff where I'll throw in some. I haven't got any feedback, anything for the theme music where everybody thinks of it.
Yeah.
But I can drop that in just before it, and it's not perfect because I don't run it at the same time as this.
Look,
but
we've had wrestlers on the show. We've had people who know the wrestlers on the show. We've had people who just had wrestling opinions on the show. I don't think people realize outside of the Minnesota wrestling scene what it meant for you and I to have Darren come on the show and to do something like that. Not just with where his life was during COVID, but just who Darren's been in the Minnesota wrestling scene. Darren's not really known for doing stuff like that. And, you tried to insult the living crap out of him there the first 5 minutes. I thought he was going to hang up on us, but I mean,
he kept going. He got back at me.
But it's just, I'm so incredibly blessed that our friends, our family members have given us the time for it. I'm so blessed that people took time out of their schedules to come do it with us. Jesse is a wonderful member of our family here at 13 Cards, and honestly, whether or not he considers himself a third host, he damn near is at this point. And that's not just from him being here so much. It's just he's brought so much of a different dynamic to when it was just you and me, plowing through a couple of shows there for like 90 minutes to 2 hours. Jesse comes on and all of a sudden we're averaging 3 hours. And I'm like, that's because we're just going.
Yeah,
it is. And it's great. And it's amazing. And he brings such a different insight into things. And honestly, I'm also proud for both wrestling and personal. We haven't shied away from things. The Speak Out movement was not a good time to talk wrestling. We did a show. We didn't say, let's give it a week. Let's let it all calm down. We had the show.
You got to.
We had the show. We said what we said. George Floyd happened. Horrible. It was here in our home state. We came on. Was it maybe a slap in the face to look fashionable, to do a minority episode after what had just happened? Maybe. That's fine. I still think it was a great episode to do. I still think it was an awesome time. It highlighted some great parts about the sport. We've spoken very candidly of our political feelings, of our economical feelings, and I said, not everyone's gonna love that. But here's the deal, and this isn't just because, hey, this is, I have more integrity than you. If somebody came to us and said, hey, we'll pay you to do this, I'd be like, cool. But they're like, hey, but you got to, tone down certain aspects. I'd be like, well, guess what? We ain't working together. What? I'm like, I'd rather do it for free and do it with you and do it with the people that we have. Market research would be like, well, Zach, you're kind of younger. Leroy's this old fart. I'm like, yeah, but he's the reason I'm the way that I am. He's what you see is the product of Leroy and I putting the show together. I mean,
well, yeah.
So it's like, no, I mean, it's easy to say that you'd sell somebody out for a big contract, but like I said, I'm not doing bad in life.
No, they can't. They wouldn't. Yeah, you got to change. No.
If you want me,
it works.
If you want me to swear less, that I can change if you're going to pay me.
Yeah.
But if you're going to ask me to not sit here and say things like Derek Chauvin should be found guilty this week of murdering George Floyd, then guess what? We're not going to work together because he should be found guilty of one of those 3 charges that you killed someone. And I'm a little bummed that we have to have a trial to prove that someone killed it, even though it's on video. But I support the way that our system works.
The legal system, that's the way it goes.
Yeah, but it's like, but if you want me to sit up here and not talk about the Speak Out movement because there were so many wrestlers involved, no, I'm going to sit up here and say I don't care if guys that we've had on the show or that we know personally worked with Joey Ryan. He was a dick.
Yeah.
And that's not even a joke for his old gimmick. He was a shitty human being.
He was.
He's someone that I would not want within 50 feet of my fiance.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't let him within 50 feet of your daughter.
Yeah, he wouldn't be 100 feet.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, no, folks. No, folks, I'm going to sit up here and I'm going to say, Joey Ryan, you piece of living dog shit, do me a favor and get out of wrestling. Please.
Yeah.
You sat there for how long and you said that the guys from the 80s were the ones who made wrestling unsafe for people, and you're the one who it was reported that all the females in the locker room wouldn't leave another female alone if they were in the locker room with them. Like, well, come on, dude. How the hell's that story come out and I'm not supposed to sit there and think you're a prick?
Yeah.
Screw you, bro. Like, yeah, no. And you know, it's like, look, I've said on the show, I'm damn near atheist. Leroy's a very devout Christian. We both believe that. But Leroy doesn't accept that Joey Ryan found faith because he was found out to be a prick. That's a bunch of bullshit even to you.
Yeah, it's full of shit.
That's a bunch of shit. You can't just sit here and all of a sudden go face by becoming a born-again Christian when you did stuff like that. Look, Shawn Michaels did the same thing, but Shawn Michaels was never accused of shit like this. Shawn was just a drug addict.
Yeah,
it's
he
not
had issues.
It's not the same thing when you're making women uncomfortable because your marriage breaks up. Boy, I wonder whose fault that was there, Joey.
Yeah.
And then also it's like, no self-respecting woman wants to spend 5 minutes in a room with you. So you got to find a 16-year-old at the t-shirt stand? No, dude, screw you. So no, it's like the Speak Out movement was the biggest thing happening in wrestling. We sat here and we talked about it. We sat here and we mentioned the people involved. We've also sat here and apologized for stuff that we said. Like I said, I don't think Will Ospreay knows you or me from, Joe Schmo. But if Will Ospreay ever did hear us, I would hope that Will would go on to the episode where we straight up apologized and said everything that came out about you was clearly false. We jumped to a conclusion that we shouldn't have. And even though from the beginning you and I both said, we're going to take a minute, we're going to wait till things come out, we still said what we said.
Oh, yeah.
And, while I've never gone back word for word and found out what we said about Will Ospreay, I said, Will, if we said anything negative, we're sorry.
That's the most we can do, is ask for the forgiveness and say, hey, we didn't mean any disrespect, but hey,
no,
you weren't at fault.
No,
so we'll keep going.
And so it's like, if you and I had made this more businessy, maybe we'd be bigger than we are right now. But like I said, I wanted a show where you talked like you were in a bar having a couple of drinks with your friends, and that's what we've achieved. We've brought people in. We've had breaking news. And I'm going to say it, and this is not a shot at anybody, especially not even Darren. Eric was our most unique show. It was one of our highest viewed shows. That to sort of get a back scene view, up close and personal with someone who clearly struggled with what had happened backstage in the wrestling business, to sort of make people understand they're not making a WWE Icons showing the backstage heat because it's fashionable. Shit happens backstage.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff. This is professional wrestling. This ain't ballet. It's a cutthroat business, and, you and I, we haven't revealed anything, but, you and I know of backstage heat between companies here in Minnesota, and in other places, and it's just like, everything looks better on paper if wrestling works together, but at the same time, y'all trying to get that ticket money. Y'all trying to sell those T-shirts, and so, I mean, look, if some people have heard us and want nothing to do with us in the wrestling business, and, if Dave came to us and said, hey, guys, I can't have you work security for MAW because of some of the things that some of the wrestlers heard, I'd be like, I respect that. I'll buy the ticket. If I'm not allowed at MAW, then fine. I'm still going to do the show.
Yeah.
And I'm still going to post MAW results because if this is what and again, I know that people have not seen us do this yet because we haven't really had the opportunity. You and I both agree. The microphone is open to anyone that wants to come on the show and refute what we have to say. We've taken some shots at Abby and her love of Penelope Ford, but Abby is more than welcome to grab a microphone, call in.
I have 3 chairs that are open. I will bake her something that she loves to eat for her to come in. You heard it. let me know.
Chair's open. You're welcome to your opinion. You're welcome to say what you want to say. Like I said,
and if she's done, she can go in the other room and
like I said,
play with my daughter.
Well, and like I said, I think what's waiting on you and me to maybe finally break through is literally just saying, "Hey, Eric, you want to call up your buddy who can call up the Bucks, have them listen to our first few shows, and see if they're willing to come on for 2 hours, and then they promote it, and if they want to stay in kayfabe or even real, be themselves, and be like, we told these two what's what. I'm like, I ain't gonna say no to the free promotion, but I'm gonna say what I gotta say. But no, the microphone is open to anyone who wants to refute what we've had to say. The microphone is open to anyone who wants to, clarify things that we've heard or things that we reported on. I have no issue with that. But the thing about it is like I said, I'm going to say what I feel. I'm going to say what I want because that's what Leroy agreed to. And that's what I've agreed to let Leroy say. I mean, Leroy and I have disagreed on here numerous times about things that have happened, and we've just said it and let it go.
Well, there are some people that have told me, you guys need to argue more. Why?
Well, not only
be more. No, it's not going to be more entertaining if we fight back and forth.
Well, not only that, but it's like,
what's the point of it?
So you're asking us to write a script where Leroy has to defend Spot Monkey when everything that Leroy's learned over 40 years of watching wrestling proves my point.
Yeah, well,
it's just not going to happen.
We have Jesse here that did defend. And then Jesse realized, oh, my God.
Oh, shit, what is this?
Some of the stuff you're saying, guys, is absolutely right.
And it's like, again, not just because of the show, but because of our love of the sport, I do hope AEW continues. I've said I don't know how they're going to continue.
Me neither. I don't know.
But if they prove me wrong, I'll be here to say, hey, boys, you went 5 years. Like, that's great and everything.
Yeah, but it's like I'm hoping, in the future, we're trying to get JDX on the show.
Yep.
When he is free.
Super looking forward to him just on the show.
When Discover Pro Wrestling
finally comes up,
going.
we're going to get back into that. The show's going to look a lot different than it did beforehand because, like Eric said, you ain't signing Top Flight anymore because they're a little busy down there in Jacksonville. But no, I mean, look, it's been 50 shows. I can't remember ever hating to come to a show. I can't ever remember not wanting to do a show. I mean, the only time you and I have ever not done a show, it's been for a legitimate reason that you and I can't get out of. Whereas us not doing a show because one of us woke up and said, hey, I'm just not feeling today. Have you ever gotten a message from me saying,
no.
Hey, I just don't want to come do the show today?
No, I never have.
50 episodes over the course of damn near 52 weeks. Like, no, I mean, you and I have taken the time off when it's been necessary for family, friends, and, for you, religious events, for me, work. But,
yeah.
The fact is that, it's crazy. But as my current coworker, your former friend Aaron there has said, you want to know why they call it a job, right? Because they got to pay you to be there. Well, I have not been getting paid to do this. In fact, I've blown a bunch of money getting into this.
Yes, we have.
But
it's been all worth it.
Oh yeah, but no, that's the thing. Is like, I mean, I've never looked at my week and thought this was so bad I don't want to come do the show. I've never felt that way.
Yeah,
this is one of those things that I've always looked forward to coming on and just like for 2.5, 3 hours, just turn off the world, turn on the microphone, and talk about something that makes me happy and doesn't really make me feel anything else.
Yeah, I said we're gonna get JDX.
Except for indigestion when I'm watching a Bucks match, but
oh yeah. But I think we both. I'm gonna try and reach out to, different wrestlers. I want to get a hold of a female wrestler.
Okay.
I've been busy, haven't had a chance to do it.
Yeah.
But to get a different perspective, when we get to shows, we can actually record interviews and everything in the show, and I can put it in this, so we can actually have
sound bites,
a different
sound
bites, and everything from real wrestlers.
Yeah.
And more content on the YouTube.
And the other thing about it
too.
is that all the stuff we've done on YouTube, whether it's the Allison Chronicles, it's the live interviews, it's the podcast. Look, I know people sat there and we said in episode 0 it was going to be once a month and we'll talk about everything. But there's going to be a bunch of other stuff. we started doing it weekly because we're going to maybe punch out a couple of shows due to COVID because, again, we thought maybe we'd be closed down. And then when we were able to keep doing it, we were just like, well, why the hell not? We're not doing anything else.
Yeah, keep going and going
and
going.
So, it's like, my plan is to still continue the Allison Chronicles, to get Jay's Take finally on YouTube channel, to get more live interviews with more people up there, not just D-Lo, not just Darren, not just JDX up there, not just Matt Burdall of obviously many places here in the state, in the state, but just, I mean, there's nothing about that what we've done since we started this whole project, even before we knew it was going to be a project. There's nothing I don't want to do again.
Yes.
More live interviews, even if it's just on our phone, we post it on the YouTube, and then we talk about it on the show. More information coming from the indie scenes, more guests, more stories that we don't know how to do, and more of, and this is what I think sets us apart, whether or not we have the viewership that everyone else does. We let the wrestlers talk.
Yeah.
I know that's a funny statement to people that know you and I, because you and I are always talking, and it's like, how does anyone get a word in edgewise? I'm like, no. When we do the show, because, I mean, honestly, Darren straight up hit me up after the show. He was like, I did not think that was going to go 90 minutes. I'm like, dude, you were great. I loved you. I mean, here's the thing. I told him, we were in the studio, all three looking at each other like, we don't want him to stop.
Yeah.
We were like, just keep going. Roll the footage.
Yeah. After get done, I cordial, say, thank you so much for being on the show. He thanked me for us having him on there, and he said the same to me. I didn't think it would go. I know, we just kept going.
But the thing is that I feel like from the first interview with him to the second interview to JDX to even D-Lo, we asked the question and then we let the person go. Yeah. And I feel like we've done that with all the guests, because, I mean, like I said, Eric's episode, so many comments of that were, it wasn't so much wrestling as much as it was there, his thing in wrestling. But I mean, he was our guest. He was here for a reason. And I think what we got out of that show maybe was healing to him. I don't want to say we were a therapist there, but we were maybe a place to get things out. And like I said, I didn't want to just be like, hey, we got stuff to do here. It's like, no, that's why the show was named what it was. We might get to things, we might not. But that just means we got more shit to do next week. It's like,
well, yeah, and
it's so easy to plan shows when we don't get through 13 cards, because we got 5 cards for next week. When we do 13 cards, then Leroy's got to write them up again.
Oh, yeah. And then when we had, Cal and Corey.
Yeah.
And then, boom, all of a sudden,
Eric just walks in with the DPW championship.
With the champion belt. Boom!
And I'm just like, hey, man. And honestly, having Al on here to discuss the intricacies of boxing with wrestling and to talk about that stuff, that was a lot of fun. That was just a unique thing. Now, people have talked to us many times, and I'm sure you get this more than I do. Or maybe not more, but like just as much. People asking, are you going to expand the show? And I'm like, I don't think we have to. And the reason I say that is because you and I, one thing I think we do really well, we tie so much non-wrestling into wrestling. Remember, when we had Stewie on, he even told you off camera, and he told me beforehand, I don't know how good I'm going to be on a wrestling show. I'm like, we'll fit you in.
Yep.
We'll make it work. And honestly, I don't think one person that has come on and didn't feel like they contributed.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone didn't feel like that they weren't a part of the conversation.
And they come in and tell me this is one of the best podcast setups I've ever seen. I'm like, really?
Folks, there's plenty of evidence as to what this setup is. And I'm like, I
have video evidence.
We ain't got a soundproof studio. This is a degrading kitchen that honestly could use some new cabinetry. But
it's renting.
That's
when I actually can buy my own house.
Yeah.
Then we can actually have a studio.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just for me. And honestly, I didn't think I was gonna get emotional, but it's like it's been a lot of fun. It's been such a unique experience, and I'll be honest, I didn't think you and I were gonna seamlessly be able to do it the way that we have, both off mic and on mic, because I mean our shows tend to really not have a lot of stop start. We're able to kind of click there.
I honestly wasn't sure how this was gonna go, and
I I think after like 6
It's-
episodes, we were just like, all right, we got a rhythm here. Let's just keep this
We
going.
got a rhythm,
It honestly didn't take long.
and as some people